Alright, this chapter is the direct aftermath of Qin Chen killing a prince, and now the entire capital feels like someone just dropped a bomb in the middle of the street. Because this is not some noble, not some guard, this is a royal prince, killed in front of everyone, in front of the emperor's own brother. The moment the short staff pierced through Ming Xuan's throat, everything froze. He grabbed his neck, blood pouring out non-stop, trying to speak, but no sound came out. Even until the moment he died, he still couldn't believe Qin Chen actually dared to kill him. In the North Ming Empire, even the biggest families like the Yi family or Zhu family would never dare kill a prince openly. Assassination maybe, secret revenge maybe, but in the street, in daylight? Impossible. And yet Qin Chen did it like he was killing some random thug. Ming Yu's face turns completely pale. He knows this time it's over. Even if Qin Chen can open the secret of the two swords, even if he helps the royal family, killing a prince is not something the emperor can ignore. Nobody can protect him now. Qin Chen pulls the staff back, looks at the body on the ground, and snorts, saying if their ancestor Ming Yuan saw what his descendants became, he would probably climb out of the grave just to beat them himself. That sentence makes the air explode. Because Yu Prince finally loses control. His aura bursts out instantly, terrifying pressure spreading across the street. This is not Spirit C, not Spirit Platform, this is Spirit Soul level power. The kind of strength that can crush everyone present without even moving. He roars that no matter who is behind Qin Chen, today he will tear him into pieces. People nearby can't even breathe under the pressure. From Spirit C to Spirit Soul, there are two whole realms in between. In this place, nobody can fight him, except Qin Chen, who doesn't even look nervous. He bends slightly, hands forming seals quickly, spirit marks appearing one after another. Yi Ziking's eyes change immediately. She saw this before, the same move he used when fighting Kai Dongaming. But that time the enemies were only Spirit C level. This time it's Yu Prince. Even she is not sure Qin Chen can survive. Right when Yu Prince is about to attack, a gust of wind passes. A figure appears in front of Qin Chen. Shen Benfang, master of the sacred pill pavilion. Everyone stunned. Why is he here? Why is he standing in front of Qin Chen? Yu Prince frowns immediately. Because Sacred Pill Pavilion is not a force the royal family can easily offend. Their business spreads across the empire, and behind them stands a much bigger organization from the 9 nether continent. Yu Prince asks coldly if he plans to protect Qin Chen. Shang Dingfang smiles and says maybe they can talk. He even says something nobody expected. If one prince's death can be exchanged for cooperation between the royal family and the Sacred Pill Pavilion, maybe it's worth discussing. That line shocks everyone. Because for years the royal family wanted to cooperate with Sacred Pill Pavilion, but the pavilion always refused. They controlled the pill and weapon market alone, and the royal family could do nothing. And now because of Qin Chen they are willing to negotiate. Even Yu Prince hesitates. But in the end he says this is not his decision. Only the emperor can decide. Qin Chen must go to the palace. Everyone looks at Qin Chen. This is the moment. He can run. He can refuse. He can ask the pavilion to protect him. Qin Chen just smiles and says fine. He also wants to see how much of the old palace is left after all these years. That sentence makes Yu Prince grind his teeth. 16 years old, talking like he visited the palace 10,000 years ago. On the way to the palace, Shang Dingfeng stays beside Qin Chen, whispering that if the emperor refuses to forgive him, he should escape with Zhang Rong and go to the main Sacred Pill Pavilion. There, even the emperor cannot touch him. Qin Chen laughs. But just one emperor of North Ming is not enough to make me leave. And I still have things to do here. Shang Dingfeng feels a headache instantly, because he knows this kid is not brave. He is really not afraid. Behind them, Ming Yu walks silently, face dark. He wanted to recruit Qin Chen. Now he recruited a disaster. He sighs and tells Qin Chen quietly to escape while he still can, because once they reach the palace, the Imperial Guards include many men loyal to Yu Prince, and then nobody can save him. Qin Chen looks at him and smiles. That word sounds funny to him, because in his mind the one who should be worried right now is not him. It's the emperor waiting in the palace. Alright, this chapter feels calm at first, but the tension keeps rising the whole time, like everyone walking toward a place where they already know something bad is waiting. Qin Chen just killed a prince, and now he's walking straight into the royal palace like he's going sightseeing. On the way to the palace, Ming Yu keeps looking nervous, and honestly you can't blame him. Anyone else in this situation would already be thinking about how to escape, how to beg for forgiveness, how to survive. Qin Chen instead pats him on the shoulder and says something completely insane. If you fix that habit of worrying all the time, you could actually be a decent emperor. Meng Yu almost jumps and covers his mouth immediately, telling him to shut up. This is the royal palace, even if the empire declined. Inside these walls, the emperor's word is absolute. Saying something like that is enough to get executed 10 times. Qin Chen just laughs and says if Meng Yu really wants to be emperor, he can make it happen. If the current emperor isn't good enough, he can just pull him off the throne. Meng Yu looks at him like he's looking at a madman. An emperor of the North Ming Empire is still an emperor. Even princes don't dare talk like this, but the 16-year-old talks about replacing him like changing clothes. Then Qin Chen suddenly asks something strange. Who is your mother? Meng Yu hesitates but answers honestly. His mother is Consort Shu from the Qin family of Taiyuan County, named Qin Shiyu. The moment he hears the surname Qin, Qin Chen smiles in a very strange way. He nods slowly and says, so the Ming family still has some luck left. Even though they declined, they still treated the descendants of the Qin family well. Meng Yu doesn't understand at all what he means. He explains that his ancestor Qin Taiyuan once followed the founding emperor Meng Yuan in war and became the first different surname king of the kingdom. But after the kingdom declined, the Qin family also fell. Until now they only control one county. Qin Chen nods like he remembers the name. He even calls Qin Taiyuan that kid, like he met him personally. Then he says something even more unbelievable. Your mother's bloodline is very strong. Since that's the case, I'll help you a little. Meng Yu's eyes light up for a moment, thinking Qin Chen wants to support him, but then he remembers the current situation and sighs again. Right now Qin Chen himself might not survive, so talking about the throne is meaningless. Qin Chen laughs and says not only will he survive, he can even make Meng Yu the crown prince. If the emperor doesn't agree, he will replace him. Meng Yu is now completely sure. This guy is either a genius or completely insane. Then Qin Chen asks another strange question. With the foundation of your Qin family, you shouldn't be this weak. The 4-spirit transformation scripture alone should be enough to build a kingdom. Meng Yu freezes. That technique is the secret inheritance of his mother's family, something outsiders should never know. He stares at Qin Chen and asks if he is some lost branch of their family. Qin Chen just looks at him without answering. Soon the palace gate appears. Hoot! Heavy aura pressing from all sides. Yu Prince stops and tells everyone to go inside, his eyes on Qin Chen full of killing intent. Qin Chen walks in like nothing happened. After tens of thousands of years, he returns to this place again. North Ming Palace. The red tiles, the blue bricks, the armored guards, the long corridors, everything looks familiar to him. He sighs in his heart, thinking Meng Yuan's idea was good, but the descendants couldn't keep it. They walk to a huge square inside the palace, thousands of meters wide. Empty, only 8 giant stone pillars standing around, carved with dragon patterns. Shang Dingfeng looks around in surprise and asks what these pillars are. Meng Yu proudly explains that when the palace was built, Meng Yuan was the disciple of King Yan Venerable, and King Yan Venerable was the disciple of the legendary 9 Nether Emperor. These 8 pillars were a gift from the 9 Nether Emperor himself. Hearing this, Shang Dingfeng and his son are shocked. For cultivators on the 9 Nether continent, the 9 Nether Emperor is like a myth. Nobody has ever reached his level again. And right now, that same emperor is standing here looking at his own gift. Qin Chen just looks at the pillars quietly, expression calm, like someone looking at something he made long ago. Then suddenly, shouts from all directions. More than 1,000 imperial guards rush out, surrounding the square, spears, bows, and blades pointed at the center. Every one of them at least spirit sea level. The atmosphere turns deadly in 1 second. Meng Yu's face goes white. Shang Dingfeng becomes serious. Yi Ziking tightens her grip on the whip. Shang Dingfeng looks at Yu Prince and asks what this means. Yu Prince stands on the stairs, hands behind his back, voice cold. The emperor is busy. This matter does not need to disturb him. Qin Chen killed a prince. Today, he dies here. He tells Shang Dingfeng to leave if he doesn't want trouble. Otherwise, even the sacred pill pavilion cannot protect him. Shang Dingfeng's face turns ugly, because now it's clear, this was a trap. And Yu Prince never planned to let Qin Chen see the emperor at all. Alright, this chapter is where the entire palace realizes they messed with the wrong person. Up until now, everyone thought Qin Chen was just arrogant, just talented, just reckless. But the moment Yu Prince orders the arrows to fire, the truth starts coming out. This was never a fair fight. This was a trap. Yu Prince brought them into the palace on purpose, because on the street he was not sure he could beat Shang Dingfeng, and he was afraid Qin Chen might escape. But here, inside the palace square, with more than 1,000 imperial guards surrounding them, there is nowhere to run. Even if Shang Dingfeng can leave, Qin Chen cannot. Content reference site 0 index equals 0. Shang Dingfang realizes it immediately and gets furious, saying Yu Prince broke his word. Yu Prince doesn't care anymore. He says as long as Shang Dingfang leaves, this has nothing to do with the sacred pill pavilion, but if he insists on protecting Qin Chen, then even if it means risking his life, he will defend the royal dignity. Hearing that, Qin Chen suddenly laughs, not loud, not nervous, just amused. He says the North Ming Kingdom has declined for tens of thousands of years, and now they still talk about royal dignity like they still have it. That line almost makes Yu Prince explode again. Ming Yu quickly steps forward, trying to calm things down, saying they should report to the emperor, but Yu Prince shouts at him to shut up and even threatens to kill him too if he keeps interfering. Everyone feels the situation slipping completely out of control. Shang Dingfeng finally steps forward, eyes full of killing intent, saying today he wants to see whether Yu Prince really dares to fight him. Even Yu Prince hesitates for a moment, because fighting Shang Dingfeng means offending the sacred pill pavilion completely. But he already went too far. He cannot step back now. He raises his hand, archers ready. At the entrance of the square, rows of imperial archers take position. These are not normal soldiers. Every one of them is spirit sea level, using spirit bows and spirit arrows. One arrow alone can injure a spirit sea cultivator. Hundreds at once can even threaten spirit soul experts. Even Shang Dingfeng feels his heart sink. He can protect himself, maybe, but protecting everyone behind him? No guarantee. He tells his son to protect Qin Chen and be ready to escape if something happens. Right at that moment, Qin Chen steps forward. Yu Prince thinks he finally gave up and laughs, saying he should have done this earlier, killing a prince and still thinking he could live. Qin Chen looks at him and says calmly, "The one who should die is you." Everyone freezes. Even Shang Dingfeng turns his head in shock. Qin Chen continues, calling him trash, saying even the emperor himself would have to call him young master Qin, so what right does a mere prince have to judge him? Those words are like the last spark on a pile of gunpowder. Yu Prince loses all control. Fire! Thousands of arrows shoot at the same time, covering the sky like a black cloud. Ming Yu, Yi Ziking, Shang Xinrui all move instantly, surrounding Qin Chen, preparing to block whatever they can. Shang Dingfeng stands in front, face serious, knowing this might be the end. Then Qin Chen walks forward instead of back. He raises both hands. 8 strange seals appear in his palms. Not spirit seals, not weapon seals. Something older, something deeper. The seals fly out and disappear before anyone even sees where they went. For a moment nothing happens. Then the ground trembles. A terrifying heat rises from below the square, like something sleeping underground just woke up after thousands of years. The 8 giant iron pillars around the square suddenly glow red, flames spreading across their surface, dragon carvings lighting up one by one. The air becomes scorching hot. Even the arrows flying in the air start burning before reaching him. Everyone looks around in shock. Nobody understands what is happening. Qin Chen closes his eyes for a moment and speaks softly. "You have slept long enough. This royal family has become weaker with every generation. Time to show yourselves again." Then he opens his eyes and shouts one name, a Desolation Flame Dragon Guard. The moment the words fall, flames explode from the pillars, forming huge dragon shadows circling the square. Instant, terrifying, alive. Even Shang Dingfeng feels his legs shake. Because this formation, this thing should only exist in legend. Qin Chen raises his hand and points directly at Yu Prince. "Punish all who dare show disrespect to me." Alright, this chapter is where the entire North Main Palace finally realizes the truth. Not that Qin Chen is strong, not that he is talented, but that this guy is standing on a level none of them can even understand. And the moment the Flame Dragon formation wakes up, the royal family goes from hunting him to begging him. The instant Qin Chen shouted the name of the formation, the 8 giant pillars around the square started burning red, and the dragon carvings on them suddenly moved. Not shaking, not blowing, moving, like they were alive. From the pillars, 8 huge flame dragons appeared, each one more than 100 meters long, bodies covered in fire, eyes burning like molten metal. The heat alone was enough to make spirit platform cultivators feel like their skin was melting. Content reference site 0 index equals 0. Everyone froze. Shang Dingfeng froze. Ming Yu froze. Even Yi Ziking, who had seen Qin Chen do crazy things before, could not keep her calm face anymore. Because this was not a technique. This was not a spirit array someone just learned. This looked like something that had been sleeping under the palace for thousands of years waiting for someone to wake it up. 3 of the flame dragons circled around Qin Chen like pets, lowering their heads gently, their terrifying fire becoming soft the moment it touched him. Qin Chen even reached out and patted one of them, smiling like he was greeting an old friend. Still the same, you guys didn't change at all. At the same time, the other dragons roared, and the thousands of arrows flying through the air melted before reaching him, turning into liquid metal that fell to the ground. Then the dragons turned toward the Imperial guards. One breath, just one breath. Flames covered the entire square. More than 1,000 guards disappeared in the fire. Armor, weapons, even bones burned into nothing in seconds. The last flame dragon slowly floated above Yu Prince's head. He finally lost his arrogance. His face turned white, because he could feel it clearly. If that dragon moved, he would die. Qin Chen sat casually on the dragon's head, looking down at him, and said coldly that in his eyes, Yu Prince was nothing. He even said if Emperor Ming Yang himself came, being able to call him young Master Qin would already be an honor. And the worst sentence of all, even Ming Yuan didn't dare talk to me like that. The moment those words fell, everyone's mind went blank. Because Ming Yuan was the founding emperor, the legend, the ancestor, and this kid talked about him like an old acquaintance. Qin Chen raised his hand slightly. The flame dragon opened its mouth and rushed toward Yu Prince. He screamed in terror, asking why the pillars of the palace, which had been here for tens of thousands of years, suddenly obeyed this boy. But before the dragon reached him, a voice came from the sky. Stop! A figure landed on the square, or a heavy presence like a mountain. Emperor Ming Yang. Ming Yu immediately knelt. The emperor did not even look at anyone else first. He looked straight at Qin Chen and spoke in a tone nobody had ever heard from him. Please, for the sake of my ancestor Ming Yuan, show mercy. Ming Yu almost thought he heard wrong. His father, the emperor, was asking, not ordering. Asking. Qin Chen looked at him calmly and said when Yu Prince tried to kill him, nobody talked about mercy. But since the emperor at least knew to mention Ming Yuan, he would give him face. Death can be spared, life cannot. He clenched his hand slightly. A cracking sound echoed. Everyone saw Yu Prince scream like his soul was being torn apart. Inside his body, spirit sea, spirit platform, spirit wheel, even his spirit core all shattered at the same time. His cultivation gone, completely gone. A powerful spirit soul expert turned into a cripple in one moment. Shang Dingfeng's eyes trembled. He thought he already overestimated Qin Chen. He was wrong. He underestimated him again. Even Shang Xinrui felt lucky in his heart, thinking becoming Qin Chen's pill boy might be the best decision of his life. Yiziking looked at Qin Chen quietly, eyes shining. No matter what happens, he always has a way. The emperor finally breathed out when Yu Prince was still alive, even without cultivation. He raised his hand, lifted him up, and bowed slightly toward Qin Chen, thanking him. Then he invited him inside the palace. Qin Chen brushed the dust from his clothes and said the palace really brings back memories. The emperor immediately told Ming Yu to take Yu Prince away, then ordered the guards to say there had been an assassin in the palace, and Yu Prince was injured protecting the emperor. No one dared question it, because everyone knew the truth. This was not the emperor protecting Qin Chen. This was the emperor protecting the royal family from Qin Chen. And while everyone else was still shaking, Qin Chen already walked deeper into the palace like he had come home. Alright, this chapter feels quiet, but the deeper it goes, the crazier it gets. Because now we are inside the most secret place of the North Ming royal family, a place that even princes are not allowed to enter, and Qin Chen walks in like he owns it. After the chaos in the square ends, Ming Yu finally relaxes a little. At least the emperor did not show killing intent toward Qin Chen, and that alone is already the best result he could hope for. Inside the palace, Qin Chen walks slowly with his hands behind his back, looking around at the buildings, the corridors, the old walls, like someone visiting a place he has not seen in a very long time. Emperor Ming Yan walks beside him quietly, not speaking, not questioning, just following. Behind them, Shang Dingfeng, Shang Xinrui, Yi Ziking, and Ming Yu keep their distance, not daring to get too close, but also not daring to leave. No one talks, no one even breathes loudly, because after what happened outside, everyone knows one thing. This is no longer the emperor judging Qin Chen. This is the emperor accompanying him. They stop in front of a palace gate, and Qin Chen's eyes narrow slightly. Ming Yan explains that this place is the most important forbidden ground of the royal family. For tens of thousands of years, every emperor followed the ancestral order, and only the emperor himself is allowed to enter. Qin Chen nods and says at least they still kept this rule. Then he says open it. No hesitation, no asking permission, just open it. Ming-yang immediately walks forward, forms seals with both hands, complicated marks spreading across the gate, and slowly the ancient door begins to open, making a heavy sound like something that has not moved for thousands of years. He steps aside respectfully and invites Qin Chen inside. Seeing this, Ming Yu almost cannot believe it. His father, the emperor, opening the forbidden hall for someone else. Inside, the hall is built underground, surrounded by black metal walls so strong even Peak 4 spirit experts cannot break in without using the main door. The moment Qin Chen walks in, a strange aura fills the air. Ancient, hovered, silent, like stepping back tens of thousands of years. The hall is huge, but there are almost no decorations. Only 4 giant statues, each one taller than the last. Ming-yang immediately starts introducing them. The tallest one is Ming Yuan, the founding emperor. Below him is Qin Yuanshan, the ancestor of the Qin family, the general who helped him conquer the land. On the right is Tan Qinshi, the founder of the Heavenly God Academy, and in the center is King Yan Venerable, their master. Before he finishes, Qin Chen says he already knows. Ming-yang stops talking immediately, not even surprised, because at this point, it would be strange if Qin Chen did not know. Outside the hall, Ming Yu stops the others from entering, saying only emperors can go inside. Shang Xinri gets worried, but Ming Yu smiles bitterly and says if Qin Chen wants to go in, even the emperor cannot stop him. They wait outside. Shang Dingfeng slowly says he once heard a legend that when Ming Yuan built the kingdom, he created a secret hall with 4 statues to protect the bloodline of the empire. Ming Yu looks shocked, because the secret should only be known by core royal members. Inside the hall, Qin Chen walks around slowly, then says calmly, "Show me the last statue." Ming-yang's eyes change, because there is indeed one more statue, and almost nobody knows it exists. He kneels on the ground, forms another seal, drops a drop of blood, and the hall suddenly shakes. The 4 statues move, not slightly, they actually move. Each one kneels to the side, lowering their heads, revealing the space behind them. And from the darkness, a 5th statue appears, 300 meters tall, dark red body, black robe, eyes looking far away like they see the entire continent. The moment it appears, the 4 statues kneel as if welcoming it. Ming-yang does not introduce it. He knows Qin Chen already understands. Qin Chen looks up at the statue and smiles. Looks pretty accurate, and also very handsome. He just praised himself without shame, because the statue is him, the 9th Nether Emperor. He jumps up and lands on the statue's palm, looking down at Ming-yang, then sighs, saying the ancestors still had some sense, but the descendants are getting worse every generation. Ming-yang immediately kneels, not acting, not forced, kneels sincerely. He says he does not know Qin Chen's identity, but the ancestor left an order. Whoever can activate the 8 Desolation Flame Dragon guard the royal family must bow. Otherwise the North Ming bloodline will disappear. Qin Chen laughs softly. Looks like Ming Yuan remembered what I said after all. Alright, this chapter is less explosive, but the impact is even bigger. Because instead of fighting, Qin Chen casually points out that the entire North Ming royal palace has been sitting on top of a treasure for tens of thousands of years and nobody noticed. Inside the secret hall, Qin Chen looks at the statue of his past self for a long time, then sighs softly. He says Ming Yuan was clever, always wanted to build a kingdom strong enough to cover the entire 9 nether continent, while Tan Qinshi preferred stability and focused on building the academy. He even starts talking about them like he personally watched them grow up, saying Ming Yuan used to complain to him whenever King Yan scolded him, and King Yan would get scolded back, then take it out on Ming Yuan again. Hearing those words, Emperor Ming-yang feels his heart shaking, because nobody should be able to speak about the founding emperor like that unless he really has something to do with that era. Qin Chen finally turns around and says the decline of the North Ming Empire is not anyone else's fault. It's their own. Their ancestors built the kingdom with their own strength, not by relying on their master or grandmaster, and the descendants should do the same. Ming-yang lowers his head. He knows Qin Chen is right. For tens of thousands of years, the royal family kept shrinking, losing techniques, losing courage, losing ambition. He kneels again and asks Qin Chen to guide him. Qin Chen waves his hand and says rebuilding an empire is not something that happens overnight, and he has no interest in managing their politics. But as long as he is still in this world, he will not let the North Ming royal bloodline disappear. That sentence alone makes Ming-yang feel like a mountain was lifted off his chest, because what he feared most was that the royal family would fall completely one day. Now, even if the empire declines, the bloodline will survive, and that is enough. Qin Chen then says something unexpected. This hall should not be forbidden. The royal descendants should come here often. This place helps cultivation. Ming Yan freezes, because he actually noticed that before, but the ancestors' order said only the emperor could enter, so he never dared change it. Qin Chen laughs and says if he says it's fine, then Ming Yuan will not complain. That line makes Ming Yang feel even more sure. This boy really has the right to say that. They leave the hall, and outside everyone finally relaxes when they see both of them come out safely. Yiziking asks where they are going next. Qin Chen looks at Ming Yang and says he wants to go to the inner palace. He wants to meet Consort Shu, Ming Yu's mother. Ming Yan does not even hesitate. Of course! That answer alone shows how much his attitude changed. While walking through the palace roads, Qin Chen suddenly laughs and says the royal family is like someone holding a mountain of gold without knowing it. Ming Yang immediately asks what he means. Qin Chen points around and says the entire North Ming Palace was built together with the Heavenly God Academy as a pair, one yin, one yang, forming part of a huge spirit formation. Cultivating here is no worse than cultivating inside a 4th-level spirit gathering array. Everyone stops walking. Even Ming Yang looks shocked, because he never knew this. Not even the royal records mentioned it. Qin Chen says the palace itself is a formation node, but the spirit seals inside the walls have never been activated properly. Then he squats near a wall and starts forming seals with his fingers. 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks. Spirit symbols appear like stars, sticking to the wall, then spreading outward. In just a moment, several 5-point star patterns light up across the wall, and the air changes instantly. The spiritual energy becomes thicker, heavier, clearer. Everyone feels it immediately. Even breathing becomes easier. Qin Chen stands up and says if the whole palace is activated like this, the entire place becomes a 4th-level gathering array. Ming Yang's body trembles, because that means the Imperial Guards, the Royal Army, everyone cultivating here will improve much faster. The strength of the entire empire would rise, just from this one change. Qin Chen looks at him and says he helped once. The rest is up to him. But if Ming Yang leads the empire in the wrong direction, he will kill him himself. Ming Yang bows without hesitation, because after everything he saw today, he knows Qin Chen is not joking. Alright, this chapter feels funny, but at the same time it shows something scary again. Qin Chen is not only stronger than everyone here, he literally knows the history of every family better than they do themselves. And this time, the one getting shocked is Ming Yu's own mother. After leaving the secret hall, Qin Chen tells Ming Yang to stand up and stop kneeling. He says if the emperor can really make the North Ming Empire strong again, then at least Ming Yuan will not feel embarrassed when they meet again. He doesn't say the rest out loud, but in his heart he is thinking that otherwise when he meets that kid Ming Yuan again, the guy will definitely complain that his grandmaster didn't take care of his descendants. Ming Yu at this point doesn't even know how to react anymore. His father just knelt. The emperor of the entire empire knelt. And Qin Chen talked about killing him earlier like it was nothing, yet now the emperor acts like that never happened. They keep walking deeper into the inner palace until they reach a quiet courtyard. A beautiful woman walks out to welcome them, bowing slightly. This is Consort Shu, Ming Yu's mother. Ming Yan introduces her respectfully, and Qin Chen looks at her carefully for a moment, then nods and says her forehead really looks similar to her ancestor. That sentence alone makes her confused, because the way Qin Chen speaks sounds like he met an ancestor himself. They enter the courtyard and sit down. Actually, only Qin Chen sits. Everyone else stands, but nobody feels it strange anymore. Qin Chen tells the others to leave. Sheng Dinfeng immediately understands and drags his son away. Yiziking also leaves without asking, because she has seen this before. Every time Qin Chen wants to say something important, he clears the room first. Even Ming Yang and Ming Yu are told to go. Both of them leave obediently. Outside, Shang Xinru suddenly gets a very strange expression, remembering the last time Qin Chen also kicked everyone out when treating Yiziking's mother. He looks at Ming Yang's head and for a moment feels like there is a green light shining there. Inside the courtyard, only Qin Chen and Consort Shu remain. Qin Chen looks at her and says he saw Ming Yu using the Azure Dragon Seal and White Tiger Seal, so he guessed she must come from the Qin family. The moment he says for spirit transformation scripture, her expression changes. That technique is the core inheritance of the Qin family, not something outsiders should know. Qin Chen continues calmly, saying the ancestor of the Qin family originally did not even have a surname. He followed Ming Yuan in war and later met Ming Yuan's grandmaster, who personally gave him the surname Qin. Consort Shu freezes completely, because this story exists in the family genealogy, but very few people know it. She asks how Qin Chen knows. He just says it doesn't matter. Then he says something even stranger. With the 4-spirit transformation scripture, the Qin family should not have declined like this, even if the empire fell. Unless the technique was incomplete. She sighs and says that is exactly the problem. The last 2 parts, vermilion bird and black tortoise, were lost long ago. Without them, the technique is incomplete, and the family gradually weakened. Qin Chen nods and says that explains it. Then he says bring paper and brush. She doesn't understand, but still obeys. Qin Chen sits down, takes the brush, and writes 5 big words. 4-spirit transformation scripture. Then he starts writing, line after line, seal after seal, azure dragon, white tiger, then vermilion bird, then black tortoise. Complete, detailed, perfect. Consort Chu stands there with her mouth open, because what he writes is exactly the lost part of her family's inheritance. She can't even tell if it's real or fake yet, but the structure looks right. Qin Chen finishes, puts the brush down, and says that's enough. He says he only wrote the cultivation method, not all the insights, because if it gets lost again, he doesn't want outsiders to learn everything. Then he adds the real reason. He's too lazy to write more. Consort Shu stares at him, then suddenly laughs. Because the boy in front of her looks like a teenager but talks like an old man who lived through 10,000 years. Alright, this chapter is calmer, but the kind of calm where you know Qin Chen just changed the fate of an entire family like it was nothing. He didn't fight, didn't threaten, didn't show power. He just wrote a few lines on paper, and suddenly the Qin family might rise again after tens of thousands of years. After finishing the 4-spirit transformation scripture, Qin Chen stands up like the whole thing was just a small favor. Consort Shu can't hold it anymore and asks the question she has been thinking the whole time. Why would he come here personally just to help the Qin family? She already knows he has a special identity. Just from the emperor's attitude earlier, she understands this young man is someone even the royal family cannot offend. So why would someone like him care about a declining family like theirs? Qin Chen stops for a moment. For a second, he almost tells the truth. Back then, Qin Tanyuan's cooking was so good that it spoiled his taste, and because of that he gave him the 4-spirit transformation scripture and promised to grant him one request in the future. But Qin Tanyuan never asked for anything, so now he is just paying that debt. Of course, there is no way he can say that. Nobody would believe it. He stays silent for a while, then finally gives the most ridiculous answer possible. Because your ancestor and I have the same surname. Consort Chu stares at him, completely confused. Same surname. That's the reason? There are thousands of people with the surname Qin, but before she can ask more, Qin Chen already walks out. Outside, Mingyang is waiting with a smile, like he has been afraid Qin Chen might disappear if he looks away. Qin Chen waves his hand and says everything here is done. He is leaving. The emperor immediately bows slightly and tells him to take care, even reminding him to guide Mingyu if he has time. On the way out, Qin Chen suddenly stops and calls Mingyu over. He pulls him aside and whispers something. Nobody hears what they say, not even Mingyan. After a moment, Qin Chen pats his shoulder and leaves with Sheng Dingfeng, Sheng Xinrui, and Yi Ziking. Only after they are gone does the emperor ask Mingyu what Qin Chen said. Mingyu looks excited and answers that Qin Chen told him how to unlock the secret of the Qingyang's sword and King Yu's sword. Mingyang's eyes change instantly, because yesterday he already announced that whoever unlocks the secret of the 2 swords will become crown prince. And today Qin Chen tells the method to Mingyu, not to the eldest prince, not to the 6th prince, to Mingyu. At that moment, Mingyan understands. Qin Chen is not directly interfering in the throne, but he is giving him a hint. An empire cannot rely on one emperor forever. It needs a successor, and maybe he has been ignoring the wrong son all this time. Back outside the palace, Qin Chen walks slowly while talking to Yi Ziking about her cultivation. He asks how the whip training feels. She says it feels natural, like she was supposed to use it. Qin Chen nods and explains that her 9 revolutions exquisite body is soft inside but strong outside, so sword is too rigid for her, while whip matches her perfectly. He reminds her not to rush with the 9 revolutions jade body art, and if anything feels wrong, she must tell him immediately. Then Yi Ziking remembers something important. The Heavenly God Academy entrance exam will start in 3 days. Qin Chen has a token to enter the Outer Academy directly, but now he is already Spirit C 3rd level, so going to the Outer Academy makes no sense. Qin Chen asks her to explain the structure of the academy. She says the academy has more than 100,000 students divided into outer court and inner court. Outer court is for 9 gates realm. Inner court is for Spirit C. Above that are Spirit platform students called Spirit disciples. Above them are Spirit wheel experts called Spirit sons. Spirit sons have status equal to elders, and only the most talented can reach that level. Qin Chen listens and nods slowly. Sounds interesting. Then he suddenly asks one thing. Where are Ling Tian and Chu Ningxi now? He didn't forget. Those two still owe him a debt. Alright, this chapter finally brings us to the place Qin Chen actually wanted to go from the start. Heavenly God Academy, the biggest training ground in the North Ming Empire, the place where geniuses gather, where future generals, elders, and monsters are born, and also the place where Ling Tian and Chu Ningxi are hiding. On the way back from the palace, Yu Ziking tells Qin Chen about Ling Tian's situation inside the academy. Apparently, the leader of the crown party values him a lot, so since entering the academy, Ling Tian rarely shows himself. Nobody even knows what he is doing most of the time, which only makes him look more mysterious. Qin Chen just smiles and says that's fine. Right now, the urgent matter is not Ling Tian or Chu Ningxi, it's his brother's injury. As long as he enters the academy, there will be time to deal with those two slowly. He even says honestly he is not interested in them anymore because in his eyes, they are not even qualified to be real opponents. Content reference aside 0 index equals 0 Yu Ziking reminds him of something important. Even though he is the outer court token, with his current strength he cannot stay in the outer court for long. If he wants to enter the inner court directly, he must pass the inner court assessment. This time, the academy separated the outer court and inner court recruitment. Outer court is easy. Inner court requires a test, and the test is in Ming Mountain. Qin Chen nods slightly when he hears that name. Ming Mountain is the largest mountain range in the North Ming Empire, even bigger than Lingyun Mountain by many times. In fact, Lingyun Mountain is only a small branch of Ming Mountain. The mountain runs across the empire from south to north, and one part of it is right next to the academy. That was not an accident. When the academy was built, one side was connected to the capital, and the other side connected to Ming Mountain, so students could train in the wild anytime. Over tens of thousands of years, the Heavenly God Academy grew stronger and stronger until its influence became almost equal to the royal family. The only difference is the academy does not fight for power. It only trains people. Many experts who left the empire later became legends on the 9 nether continent. Qin Chen laughs softly and says Tan Kingshi really knew what he was doing. Building an academy is much easier than building a kingdom. Back at the inn, Qin Chen finally gets a few days of peace. He chats with Zio Fei, talks about cultivation with Yu Ziking, and occasionally Zhang Rong comes again to discuss alchemy, acting like he found the greatest teacher in the world. After a few days, Zhang Rong leaves, but before leaving he says he will come back often. That sentence makes Sheng Dingfeng happy, but Qin Chen frowns. Showing off alchemy in front of Zhang Rong once in a while feels good. Doing it every day? Too annoying. Finally, the day of recruitment arrives. Early in the morning, Qin Chen, Yu Ziking, and Sheng Xinrui go together to the academy. The Heavenly God Academy has 2 gates. West Gate faces the capital. East Gate faces Ming Mountain. Today, the West Gate is completely open. 9 huge entrances, each one wide enough for dozens of people to walk side by side. But still the crowd stretches far outside. Carriages everywhere. Nobles everywhere. Servants everywhere. Qin Chen looks around and says it's lively. They walk to a special registration area, the place for people who already have outer court tokens. There are not many people here. A chubby young man sees Yu Ziking and immediately runs over with a big smile, introducing himself as Lu Zhanshan, the person in charge here. He asks if she is helping someone from her family enter the academy. Yu Ziking points at Qin Chen and Qin Hai and says they have tokens. Lu Zhanshan checks them carefully, writes down the information, and becomes even more polite. Anyone who comes with Yu Ziking must have a background. He tells them to go inside, where someone will explain the academy rules. Everything is going smoothly until a loud voice suddenly shouts behind them, "Move aside!" Several guards push people away, making space, and a young man walks forward proudly, saying the person behind him is Miss Liu Yuan of the Liu family, and they have a token. He orders Lu Zhanshan to register immediately. Lu Zhanshan frowns and says there are people in front, they need to wait. The young man laughs and says the Liu family never waits. Then he says one name, Liu Kaiyuan, one of the spirit sons of the academy. The moment that name comes out, Lu Zhanshan's face changes. Alright, this chapter is pure academy drama, but the funny part is the people causing trouble have no idea, they just picked a fight with the wrong group again. And this time, Qin Chen doesn't even need to move. Yu Ziking alone is enough to make the whole Liu faction regret showing up. We continue at the registration point outside the west gate of Heavenly God Academy. Liu Jianchen already sweating like crazy because now both sides standing in front of him are people he absolutely cannot offend. On one side, Yu Ziking, the famous Wang-bodied genius of the Yi family. On the other side, Liu Yuan, the younger sister of Liu Kaiyuan, one of the spirit sons of the academy. Either one complains his life in the academy is over. He forces a smile and tells Liu Yuan to wait a moment until Qin Chen and Qin Hai finish registering. That sentence almost kills him. The guard beside Liu Yuan immediately curses at him, asking if his eyes are blind, saying the Liu family never waits in line. He even threatens to report him to Liu Kaiyuan. Liu Jianchen's face turns white instantly. He really cannot afford to offend Liu Kaiyuan, but the problem is he also cannot afford to offend Yi Ziking. Liu Kaiyuan is a spirit son, but Yi Ziking is a Huang body, future spirit son for sure, and also the daughter of the Yi family. Right now, Liu Jianchen feels like his life is hanging between two knives. Liu Yuan finally walks forward herself, looking proud like a princess, telling everyone to move aside because her time is precious. Normally, Yi Ziking would already slap her, but this time she doesn't move. She turns her head and looks at Qin Chen. That alone makes Liu Jianchen confused. Why is she asking him? Who exactly is this guy? Qin Chen waves his hand lazily and says just punish her a little. He even complains that lately too many small fries keep jumping out to cause trouble. That sentence finishes, Yi Ziking steps forward. Spirit C 5th level aura explodes. Pressure falls directly on Liu Yuan and her face turns pale immediately. Before she can react, slap. A clean, loud slap across her face. Everyone freezes. Then another slap. Both cheeks red instantly. Qin Chen looks surprised for a moment, and Yi Ziking calmly says the second slap was her own idea. Qin Chen just shakes his head and smiles. Liu Jianchen's brain stops working. She just slapped the sister of a spirit son twice, and she looks like nothing happened. Liu Yuan finally reacts and screams, telling her guard Liu Jing to tear Yi Ziking's mouth apart. Liu Jing rushes forward angrily, punching straight at her. The whip appears, one strike. Blood sprays across his face. He falls to the ground screaming. He is only spirit C4th level. Yi Ziking is 5th, and with the 9 revolutions jade body art, the gap feels even bigger. Liu Yuan now shaking, completely scared, but still stubborn, saying she will remember this. Yi Ziking coldly says if she keeps talking, she will give her 2 more slaps. Right at that moment, a new group walks over. The crowd immediately makes space. A young man in black robes steps forward, calm but cold, eyes sharp like blades. Liu Mu, one of the core members of Liu faction. Liu Yuan runs to him crying, saying Yi Ziking hit her. He looks at her face, then looks at Yi Ziking and asks why she attacked without reason. Yi Ziking doesn't even bother explaining. She just says if Liu Yuan's mouth stays dirty, she doesn't mind teaching her again right here. Liu Mu's face turns cold. He says the Yi family is strong, but the Liu faction is not weak either. The moment he says Liu faction, even Liu Jianchen quietly steps back. Inside the academy, Liu faction has more than 1,000 members, from outer court to spirit sons, and only the crown party can suppress them. This is not something he can get involved in. Liu Mu steps forward, aura rising, spirit C7th level. People around immediately feel the pressure. Yi Ziking doesn't retreat. She tightens her grip on the whip, eyes cold. He says he wants to see how strong the Huang body really is. She answers simply, try. The black claw of spirit energy forms in Liu Mu's hand and shoots forward. Yi Ziking swings the whip at the same time, and right behind her Qin Chen still standing there like he's just watching a street performance.